I'm a six-figure funded trader with over 4 years of trading experience, and in this video, I'm going to completely simplify the silver bullet strategy. With this strategy, you only need one time frame, trading one asset at one time of the day, and you don't need any daily bias. ICT himself said you can quit your job in 90 days trading this one strategy alone, but I myself have backtested this, and in my opinion, it's one of ICT's best strategies, but it's very misunderstood by a lot of beginners. So I'm here to completely simplify it for you guys, and I'm also going to be showing you some real chart examples. Let's get straight into the video and make sure you watch till the end. And the best part about the silver bullet strategy is that it removes the stress and the guesswork from your trading. So if you guys stick to these 5 points that I'm going to show you right here, you're going to use this as your checklist. This could really be the turning point in your trading career. We're also going to do some in-depth chart work to make sure you watch till the end. So let's get straight into the rules. So at 9:30 a.m. EST, New York time, we're going to prepare ourselves for our setup. Then we move on to step 2. Has previous session high or low been taken? So let me just draw a diagram to help you guys out. Let's imagine our market opens over here. So our session opens at this point. To the left of this time, this is going to be our previous session right here, London and Asia session. Then to the right is obviously where we're going to be looking for our trades. So let's imagine price has been ranging before our session opens, right? You can see we have a build-up of liquidity, which is basically when you see a double bottom or equal lows right here. All we're going to look for is the previous session high or low to be taken, right? So let's imagine the low gets taken to the downside. Ideally, what we want to see is now a reversal to the upside. But what could happen is price, instead of reversing to the upside, price could carry on moving to the downside. And we're going to go over exactly this when we get to the chart work. Then we move on to step 3. So let's imagine the previous low has been taken. Wait for a 5-minute fair value gap to form between 10 to 11 a.m. or 2 to 3 p.m. Now you might be wondering, why is it only a 1 hour window? Well, this is the silver bullet AM session and this is the silver bullet PM session. I've made a video on all 3 sessions that the silver bullet has, but for this strategy we're only going to be trading the AM and the PM session. If you want to know about all 3 sessions of the silver bullet, I've already made a video on this and I'll leave it linked down below. So as you can see, we have a series of up close candles right here. We have candle 1, candle 2 and candle 3. So candle 2 is where the fair value gap is going to be resting. If you look at the high of candle number 1, you have this high right here. If you look at the low of candle number 3, we have this wick right here. And as you can see, there is free space right here. There's a gap, which is why we call it a fair value gap. So lots of buying pressure. Some people call this a buying imbalance and a sell side inefficiency. There's lots of buying occurred right here and not that much selling, right? So this is what we call our fair value gap. We can expect price to retrace into this fair value gap before continuing on to the upside. This is a valid fair value gap, and it'll literally just be the exact same for a bearish example. And another misconception about fair value gaps is that all candles have to be up close candles for bullish and all candles have to be bearish close candles for bearish fair value gaps. Well, only candle number 2 needs to be bullish for a bullish fair value gap, and candle number 2 needs to be bearish for a bearish fair value gap. Candle 1 and candle 3, it doesn't matter which color they are. For shorts, the highs need to be taken. For longs, the lows need to be taken. So quite simply, if we're looking for sells, we want to look for a high to be swept before we start looking for sells down. And if we want to look for longs, we want the lows to be swept before we look for the longs to the upside. And we're going to enter off a fair value gap, which we see after the low has been taken for a long example. And we're going to look for a fair value gap to enter off after the high has been taken for sells, right? We're going to go to the chart example in a second. Then following on to step 5, how do we enter the market? How do we actually execute the trade? Well, we're going to enter on the fair value gap. So let's imagine price is going to retrace into the fair value gap to then continue up after the lows have been swept before our session has started. So as you can see, price has swept the lows. Then we've got a 5-minute fair value gap. So tick number 2, tick number 3, the lows have been taken. So now we're looking for longs, and then we're going to look for an entry off the fair value gap. Now remember how we had candle number 1, candle number 2, and then candle number 3. For this long example, we're going to enter at the top of this fair value gap and then place our stop loss below the low of candle number 1. And then we're going to look for a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. Now I'm not going to draw it out right here. Now we've entered at the top of the fair value gap. Our stop loss is in a safe place where the trade is then invalidated if the trade goes in the wrong direction. So now we've entered on our fair value gap. Our stop loss is at FVG candle number 1. So if price does tank to the downside, my stop loss is in a safe place where the trade is invalidated. And that's a very, very important point. You want your stop loss to be in a safe place where the trade is invalidated if you are wrong. Then simply we're going to look for a 1 to 2 risk to reward target. Why? Because it's a very consistent take profit that you can get day in, day out, because this setup does show pretty consistently, and we don't want to be too greedy with our profits. We want to stick to a set risk to reward, a set system. And if price is just hovering around a 1 to 1, 1 to 1.5 risk to reward target, you can literally just close by the end of the day. But ideally, we want to hit that take profit of a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. But to give you guys a better understanding of the strategy, let's get straight into the real chart examples. You will pass your funding challenge in under 14 days, 100% guaranteed, or you don't pay a single penny. 98% of traders fail their funding challenges, spending over $4,500 on average, so don't let that be you. We've helped hundreds of people pass their funding challenges even if they failed many times before. Look at our track record. We passed Tim's funding challenge even though he had no prior experience. Carl got funded $100,000 in trading capital and made over $2,000 in profits in his first month. You can get funded with prop firms and get access to capital anywhere from $10,000 to $400,000, and you can keep up to 90% of the profits. It's a zero risk investment. If we fail the challenge, you get a full refund. However, we've never failed a challenge, so you will be funded 100% guaranteed. Get on this whilst it's still available. Click the link and take action now. So as you can see right here, I've got 10 AM marked out and I've also got 2 PM marked out. But at 9:30, this is when we're going to start looking for our setup. So this is where we're going to start preparing ourselves for our setup. Now also, in addition to this, on the left, you can see I have London session marked out with this indicator right here. Want the name of the indicator, it's just sessions. So all we're going to do is we're going to mark out our lows, right? Our previous session lows. Now, as you can see, we have a massive buildup of liquidity right here. Price came down to this low 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That's a massive buildup of liquidity. We have sell side liquidity resting below these lows in the form of sell stops. So as you can see, price ran out these sell stops and then reversed to the upside. So now, following our checklist, we're going to wait for a 5-minute fair value gap to form after 10 AM. Now, as you can see, at this point, there was no fair value gap formed. This point, there was no fair value gap formed, and so on until this massive candle right here at 10:20, right? So as you can see, we have candle 1, candle 2, and candle 3 forming this fair value gap. As you can see, to the left, there's no wicks. To the right of candle 2, there's no wicks. This is now a fair value gap, buy side imbalance, and a sell side inefficiency. Right now, another misconception a lot of people have is that they need to enter during the time window from 10 to 11 AM. Now, yes, you can do that, but if the fair value gap has been created between 10 and 11 AM but not tapped into it and the trade is still valid, you can go ahead and still enter outside of that window right there. But we want our fair value gap to form between 10 and 11 AM, which is exactly what price did. So this was the first fair value gap that formed between 10 and 11 AM. And in addition to this, which I mentioned in one of my old silverbullet videos, which you guys can go ahead and watch, I'll leave it linked down below, is I like to look for other confluences in line with the silverbullet. You don't need to have these, but this just adds more confidence to the trades and gives me more confidence when I'm taking these setups. So as you can see, we have the high right here, and price broke this high with displacement after sweeping that liquidity. So this is now a high probability setup for me. So as you can see, price made this fair value gap, broke structure, it also took liquidity, so now I would be looking for buys. So as you can see, as soon as price taps into this area right here, I would place my stop loss below the low of candle 1 right here. So if price was to just tank and actually carry on going down, my stop loss would be in a safe place. I would be out of the trade and the trade would be then invalid, right? But as you can see, price moved up from here. Where we're going to target, as you can see, we do have this old high right here, and we also have a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio literally around this high right here. So if I just mark this out for you guys, you can see price took liquidity at our risk to reward ratio of a 1 to 2, right? That's one trade done right there. And another example of a trade presenting itself following the silver bullet, you can get 2 trades in a day with this strategy. You can see from 2 to 3 PM, you can also look for a fair value gap to form. And even though it is very, very small, if I just move this long position out of the way, you can see we do have a fair value gap right here, right? A very, very small fair value gap. So you could take this trade if you want. I personally wouldn't have taken this setup because it's just not big enough for me, the fair value gap. But you can take this if it does suit your trading plan with the same 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, which again is around this high. You can see we have relatively equal highs. The price is likely to go ahead and take this level out right here. And don't forget, our stop loss is in a safe place below the low of candle 1 right here. So if price does tank, our stop loss is in a safe place and the trade was invalid anyways. So we're going to let price play out. And as you can see, price takes that high right there. We're out for a 1 to 2 potential right there, and also another 1 to 2 right here. So that's an example of 2 trades in a day following this exact system. Okay, so as you can see for this second example right here, I've got our 10 to 11 time marked out over here, and I've also got our 2 to 3 p.m. time marked out right here. So let's start analyzing. Also, on the free Telegram community that I have right here, you guys can go ahead and join. I'll be giving out some free callouts. I called over 300 pips for free on gold, as you can see right here. And I'm going to be doing some more callouts, some free trade ideas for you guys. So make sure you go ahead and join the free community. I'm going to be dropping some more analysis and some more completely free trade ideas. Make sure you go ahead and join that. And don't forget, the mentorship will be coming very, very soon. It's going to be a private Discord, private mentorship for serious students only. Make sure you keep an eye on that. Follow my socials. Stay updated. Remember, we can pass your challenge 100% guaranteed, and you don't pay a single penny until after we pass the funded challenge for you. And also, if you want to make passive income after we pass the challenge for you, like this client did right here, we've got loads of proof, reviews, and testimonials on this group right here. Make sure you go ahead and join the Funded Fast EA robot. There's limited seats available, so make sure you message Funded Fast on Telegram to secure yourself a spot for the EA robot. Also, guys, we're on a crazy win streak in the signals room. We literally got 3 1 to 5 risk to reward trades in a row, so that's 15R in just 3 trades. And we're also going to be hosting a boot camp, a one-time boot camp for GBP JPY. It's a one-time payment of just $749. There's only 15 spaces, and we won't be doing this again. So if you want to learn the exact strategy we use for the signal room, make sure you go ahead and message Funded Fast on Telegram if you want to go ahead and secure yourself a spot. And also, if you just want to join the signals room and learn off the trades, as you can see, we're killing it in the signals room. Let me just scroll up and show you the trades. As you can see, take profits are being hit very, very often. We got a very high win rate in the signals room, and we're going to be sending out more and more trades. So make sure you go ahead and join now. The value in here is absolutely crazy. It is $30 a month right now to join the signals room, but I will be increasing the price to $100 a month because, as I said, the value in there is insane. We're on an insane win streak, and we've hit 3 1 to 5 risk to reward trades in a row. You guys can go ahead and see complete transparency right here. If we do want to join the bootcamp, make sure you go ahead and message Funded Fast on Telegram, because it will be a one-time thing only. We won't be teaching this again. Make sure you go ahead and secure a spot whilst you can. First of all, you might be wondering, okay, was there not a valid trade in this 10 to 11 a.m. setup? Well, as you can see, there was no clear fair value gap formed right here. There wasn't actually any fair value gap formed within this time window. The first fair value gap that formed was after 11 a.m. So, I mean, you could have taken this, but it would have been a risky setup. So I would have probably stayed away from trading that session right there. That's when I would have focused on trading the 2 to 3 p.m. session. And we're going to go through the checklist right now. So from 9:30 a.m., obviously we prepare for the market. We see, okay, there was no trade setup between 10 and 11 a.m. But then we look at 2 to 3 p.m. So has the previous session high or low been taken? Now, as you can see in London session right here, which is around 4 5 a.m. New York time, we have this high right here. Now, there's lots of buy-side liquidity resting above this high. Now, you might be wondering, how's the buy-side liquidity resting above this high? There's only one touch over there. Okay, maybe we get a second touch. Well, above old highs, we see buy-side liquidity resting. It does not always have to be equal highs or double tops. It can literally just be one swing high like this, where liquidity gets swept, and then we see a reversal to the downside. So as you can see, the previous high gets swept to the upside right there. And you might be wondering, okay, well, why can't prices continue moving to the upside? Well, we let price play out. That's the beauty of this silverbullet strategy. You let price play out, and if price shows you a fair value gap, then you get in. And this will save you from being stopped out and being too early to the market, which is why I really like this strategy. And this is why I think it's one of ICT's best strategies, but it's very misunderstood. So as you can see, the previous session high has been taken. So now we're going to be obviously looking for sells if a 5-minute fair value gap is formed between 2 to 3 p.m. And as you can see, right after our PM session open, as you can see at around 2:15, the first fair value gap is formed, and it's small, but as you can see, it's a very valid fair value gap because we have candle 1, candle 2, and candle 3. So as you can see, the body of candle 2 has no wicks to the left of it, no wicks to the right of it. That's a valid fair value gap right there. We're going to enter on the fair value gap. So as you can see, enter at the lows right here of the fair value gap. Place our stop loss above FVG candle 1, which is this candle's high right here. Our stop loss is in a very valid and safe place, and we're going to look for a 1 to 2 risk to reward target. Have another fair value gap over here, which is a magnet for price, but even more confidence for price to run further away. But we don't want to get too greedy with our profits. We want to be happy with a 1 to 2 and move on to the next trading day. So as you can see, that was a very, very valid setup. And I hope you guys now understand why there wasn't a setup between 10 and 11 a.m., but there was a setup between 2 to 3 p.m. New York time. Don't forget my time is set to New York time. So this is how easy the strategy is. This is how systemized it is. If you don't see this, if you don't see the London session high get swept or the previous session high get swept to the upside, then you don't take sells. If you don't see it get swept to the downside, you don't take buys. It's literally as simple as that. This strategy, ICT himself, so you can quit your job in 90 days from this one strategy alone. Now, yes, that is obviously a bold claim. A lot of people won't quit their jobs after 90 days after learning this strategy, but you will definitely find consistency if you just stick to this checklist and you stay consistent with it in the live markets. So make sure you backtest this, forward test this, let me know how you get on with it. And don't forget, the private exclusive mentorship will be coming this week. I'll leave it linked down below. Make sure you go ahead and join a community of like-minded individuals, connect with 6-7 figure funded day traders. The value in there will be absolutely crazy, and I want it to be as affordable as possible for everyone. So make sure you go ahead and join and keep your notifications on. If you found some value from this video, make sure you drop a like, comment and subscribe. And I want you guys to test this out and let me know how it did for you in your backtesting sessions in the comment section down below. Make sure you follow me on all my socials for more updates. That's all for today's video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.